Hello, everyone. This is your host, Debra Poneman, and I'd like to welcome you to our call with today's guest, David Breslow. Dave Breslow is a performance coach, author, international speaker who sees a faster and more consistent way to change and transform. You never have to waste time, energy, and money again, only to get sporadic results. 85% tell David they are frustrated with the usual tips and strategy approaches used by so many, and David agrees. He's appeared on over 150 radio and TV stations and worked with a variety of clients from professionals in business, sports, and film. He studied many personal professional development programs in the last 15 years and finds two consistent flaws that cause 85% to be frustrated. David is affectionately called Mr. Simple because his 7 laws help people transform what they think, feel, and do quickly and consistently. David firmly believes there's a better way to get what you want and that many people are closer to it than they realize. It's not about more tips and strategies. It's about wisdom. Wired to Win that you will learn about today teaches you the simple wisdom of the laws that govern everything you do. They're simple, undeniable, and provable. And today, David will help us discover the one simple truth that will help you begin to change today. Also, how to blow past fear immediately. The 2 flaws in most models that produce sporadic results, why coping leads to mediocrity in your life and what to do about it and why it doesn't help you, why tips and strategies sound good but create sporadic results. You're also going to learn a new tool you can take everywhere to actually be different instead of hoping to be different. Also, we're going to learn why the outcomes you get or don't get in your life are governed by law. And finally, you're going to experience an interactive exercise that will shock you and show you why change is difficult so you can stop wasting time, money, and energy. This sounds very exciting. So, David Breslow, thank you for joining us today. Welcome to the call.
Hey, Deb Poneman. Thank you so much. Terrific to be here.
And I won't tell anybody that you're one of my oldest and dearest friends. Oops, I just did.
Oops, it slipped. Oh, was that your outside voice? Oh.
It slipped. Yes, my outside voice. Okay, so can you take a couple minutes and share what you believe to be the major turning points that allowed you to manifest your current level of success?
Sure. Actually, for me, it started in sports. I'm a former competitive tennis player and hockey player. And I was one of those guys when I was playing tennis that looked really great in practice. But when I started to compete, I just basically disappeared and fell apart. I was invisible. It was horrible for me. I had such a horrible time competing. I was sweating. I had no confidence. I had no self-esteem. It was a pretty horrible experience for me. And I remember one day specifically, I played a match in the first round of a tournament, and I lost to another player who wasn't nearly as physically good as me. And I came out to the car, and I started pounding the roof, screaming, why do I keep doing this? Why do I keep doing this? Why do I keep doing this? And after about 2 minutes, I heard this voice inside me say, why don't you go back to the mind-body realities you knew when you were a kid? Now, at that time, I didn't call them the laws that I call them now in the Wired to Win program. But even as a 7, 8, 9-year-old, I understood these mind-body realities. They weren't foreign to me, but I forgot about them. And I opted to go to the experts, the sports psychologists, the therapists, the coaches, the people who were supposedly the experts in the field of human development. And I gave up everything I knew to read all the books and go to the workshops and get the CDs and everything. And the stuff didn't really help that much. And when that voice whispered to me, I knew immediately that it was right. So what I did was I went back and I sat in a room and I wrote down the stuff I understood as a kid about the mind-body relationship and how it produces outcomes. And what I basically ended up doing was putting together these 7 laws. And I didn't make up the laws. They're not rocket science at all. The names of the laws are not rocket science. They're names, words people have heard many times. But what I did was I put them in a sequence. And I put that together, and that became the foundation for the Wired to Win program. And I have it for golf. I have it for tennis. I have it for personal development, which is what you and I are talking about here today. And I have it for on the job, Wired to Win at work. But basically, everybody gets the 7 laws. That's the core of the program. But that's how it started for me. It started through my personal frustration from playing tennis and losing so many times to people who were not nearly as physically talented as I was. So obviously talent isn't the key issue when it comes to athletes, and it's really not. But that's how it all started for me.
You know, that is so fascinating. I actually never knew how you started your program, even knowing you all of these years. And I think that's so profound because, as you know, I interviewed all of these American Idols, and the thing that blew my mind is that the people who were the most talented, had the most charisma, were the most attractive, were not necessarily the ones who won.
No, that's true. And I say this to athletes all the time when I'm working with them. I said, talent for me on a list of 5 is number 5. And they're shocked when I say that. There are so many, there are 4 things that are more important than talent.
Okay, well, we cannot wait to find out what those other things are besides talent. I think this is going to be very life-changing for everyone listening. And I'm going to develop this. And my first question that I have for you is, obviously, your approach must be simple because you are known as Mr. Simple, which I find so funny because you're such a brilliant guy. But I've never heard that before either. Why are you known as Mr. Simple?
Well, thank you for the compliment, but I'm actually quite simple. Actually, the name they really have for me is the Simple Idiot. That's what they call me. But I used to put that on my website, but people would react to it and go, Dave, really, an idiot? Oh, come on, I don't know if you want that word there. So I took it off eventually, so I changed it to Mr. Simple to be more politically correct, I guess, which is something I don't generally try to do, but I did it. But, yeah, I'm called that because people call me all the time and are telling me problem after problem after problem, and it's filled with smoke and mirrors and all this story that they come up with behind the problem. And I'm sitting there going, really? Because clarity is one of the things that comes about when somebody goes through this program. And since I've been teaching it for over 20 years, I'm also very clear. In my acting class, the teacher basically refers to me to help block scenes and how scenes should look, because I have a very clear vision when I see a scene of what it should look like for other people. And that clarity comes from as a direct result of understanding these laws and how they function. So clarity is hugely important. And when people come at me with all this stuff, I break it down into one sentence, and they kind of look at me and go, yeah, that's it. Well, why didn't you say that? Well, I thought I did. No, you said this 15-minute diatribe over here. And I said this one sentence over here. And what they don't get until we start talking is, what they often say to me is, are you telling me I can get from point A to point B in my life just like that? Just by understanding these laws? Yes, I am. And then they kind of look at me around the phone. I can hear the silence because they just can't believe it. Because most places they go want to get involved in the issues and the problems, and we're going to get into that in a minute when we talk about the flaws. And they want to get involved in that conversation, and I don't. I've talked to professional golfers on the PGA Tour who call me and they start telling me their story. And I give them about 10 minutes because they don't know who I am yet. And I say, okay, good, I got it. And they go, wait a minute, don't you need to hear my story to help me? And I go, no, I don't. Besides, you just told me the same story 15 different ways. Don't you know that? The bottom line is you're suffering. Yeah, that's right, I'm suffering. I said, well, do you think your suffering is any different than Joe the Butcher down the street where you live? Oh, I never thought of that before. Well, think about it. Suffering is suffering. Most human beings suffer the same way. It hurts. It sucks, and we don't like it. Yeah, that's right. I said, okay. So I don't need to hear all of your story. I know if you went to a sports psychologist, they would be happy to have you tell your story. But I tell them, look, if you understood the laws that govern all of your results, you would understand that by repeating your story, you're doomed to repeat the experience again and again and again, causing you to scratch your head and go, why does this keep happening? I'm actually doing you a favor. So here's your first assignment. I don't even know if we're going to officially work together or not. And they go, okay, here's your first assignment. And they go, what? I go, shut up. And they go, nobody ever talked to me that way before. I said, I know, and I do it with a smile. And they laugh when I say it like you just did. And it's okay. And I say, look, you're going to thank me in 3 weeks. I guarantee you're going to thank me. You're going to look at me and go, thank you for shutting me up. Now I understand why you did that. You're actually in my corner. You're on my side. You are preventing me from creating that same garbage over and over and over again. Now I get it. And that's essentially what happens after about 3 conversations. They say, thank you. So because of what I talk about and the way I talk about it, I get to say some really interesting things that people like, shut up, which most people wouldn't say to a client. But I set up the environment where it's okay to do that. They know when I say it that I'm not being mean, I'm not being nasty. And when I cut them off from telling their story, they're not used to that. But I have to explain why I'm doing that, because most people are happy. The sports psychologist is happy to have you sit down in their office and tell you everything from the last 15 years. I'm not, because I know that the answer isn't in there. All you're doing is lamenting about stuff, and you're sending that message into your system again for it to be repeated, because that's what the laws do. The laws govern outcomes. The laws produce outcomes. I can't stop it. You can't stop it. They can't stop it. That's why I like talking about it so much.
Okay. Well, I love that you say that your laws produce outcomes, and telling the story over and over and over is not going to produce the outcomes. But you say that there's one simple truth that will help us create a positive shift. Is that it? Not telling our story, or is there something else?
No. Actually, I'm going to give you 2 truths right now.
Okay.
Truth number 1 is more information does not equal more success. One of the fallacies that we walk around the planet with is that I need to gather more information. We live in an information society. I know you know that. We get workbooks, we get CDs, we go to workshops, we go online, we go to Google things. There is no shortage of information on this planet on pretty much anything. And that's part of that fallacy that if we keep gathering more information, we're going to get better. But I deal in truths and laws. So I'm constantly proving what I'm saying. Nobody ever has to believe me. So I'll just say, look at your own life. How long have you been working on this problem of lack of confidence, let's say, or poor relationships, or not having money? How long have you been doing this? Oh, I don't know, 15 years. Well, clearly something's not working. You've been gathering information for 15 years on this particular subject for you. Clearly, the information does not equal success. There is no shortage of information anywhere. People, if information was the answer, more people would be getting what they want in life. There's no question about that. And now the number 1 truth, and this is the one that most people are unaware of. The truth is, nothing changes until you do. Now, when I say that to people, they kind of stare at me, or they get a little quiet on the phone, because I think it hits them. Because the other reality is that we think the information or the tips and the strategies and the concepts and the theories are going to be the catalyst for the change we're looking for, and they're not. The reality is nothing changes until you change. We can gather all the stuff we want, and it goes into our bodies as an intellect or an emotion or whatever it does, but until we're different, that's when things start to change. And that's why in the Wired to Win program, I don't offer any tips, any strategies, and most people are blown away by that, because 99% of the programs out there are strategy-based. Here, try this tip. Here, try this strategy. And that's what they focus on. I will talk to you 10 times, or if you take the audio program that we're talking about here tonight, you can listen to 9 audios, and you will not hear a single tip or strategy or theory. Not one. Because the laws are enough. As you learn the laws, the automatic byproduct of that is you think, feel, and do things differently without me saying a word about it. And the reason is because you, the individual, are different. The information doesn't make you different. You become different because your level of awareness has grown so high. Your level of consciousness is different. And the laws are producing outcomes all the time. Now you're using them consciously to get what you want instead of unconsciously to keep getting what you don't want. That's why they call me Mr. Simple. It's like, really? Is it that simple? Yes. Yes, it is. It really is.
So is that why you say that other people try different models and approaches and the results are sporadic because it's based on tips and strategies, and some people, it works for, or they'll give up before it works, but yours is unique because there are no tips and strategies. Is that why it makes your program so unique? Okay.
Yeah, it does. Because
but you do teach power tools.
Power tools, yeah. Well, we have all been given a set of power tools, I call them power tools, to navigate this thing we call life. And this is not rocket science, so I hope people don't get disappointed when they hear it. There are 4 tools we have all been given at birth. You don't have to go to Kmart or JCPenney's and wait for a sale. You got them in the system already. You got a mind, you got a body, you got emotions, and you got a spirit. Those are the 4 power tools. Really simple. And the reality is your mind, body, and emotions produce outcomes by law. And I'm not talking about the law of attraction, because most people assume when I say laws, they, oh, you're teaching the law of attraction? No, that's not one of the 7 laws. And the reason I don't teach it is because it's like politics and sex for a lot of people. They're very adamant about it one way or the other. They're very opinionated. Some say, oh, I love the law of attraction. It's great. Other people go, man, I hate it. I sat in my room for a month thinking about $1 million, and it hasn't shown up. I hate that law of attraction. So I don't talk about it because it's happening all the time. It's the mothership. There's no reason for me to bring it up. And it's not one of the 7 laws anyway, so I don't talk about it. But yes, your power tools are those 4 things: your mind, your body, your emotions, and I include spirit. Now, when I say spirit, I don't mean spirituality unless you want it to mean that. That's fine. I look at your spirit as the deepest, corest energy of you. When you break a person's spirit, that person is broken. That is the deepest core energy that you have. And you use it when you're doing something serious, or if you're in the Army, or if you're in the Marine Corps or in something. Those people, it takes a tremendous, deep core spirit to be able to put yourself in harm's way like that. It's what allows a parent to stand in front of a moving car and get hit to save a child. Now, there are many places that might call that mental, physical, or emotional. I don't. I think that's the spirit aspect of a person. It doesn't get any deeper than that. But when it comes to the laws, it's the mind, body, and emotions that the laws are affecting. The laws govern how the mind, body, and emotions produce outcomes. So, yeah, those are the power tools, just those 4. And we all have them. You don't have to go anywhere. You got it.
I bet everybody is like, okay, ask them what the laws are, ask them what the laws are. But I don't know what order you want to go in. Do you want to tell us the laws, or do you want to, because one thing that you said that you would teach us is how to blow past fear.
Fear is an interesting subject to me. I have a pretty different point of view on fear. Most people fear making mistakes, making errors, and so on, things like that. But when I'm talking to somebody, I'll ask them, okay, how long have you been like screwing up in this area? Oh, I've been messing up and for years. And I go, okay, how can you be afraid of something you do so well and you do so often? And then they usually look at me and go, what are you talking about? I said, well, you tell me you have a fear of messing up, yet you've been messing up for 5 years in this area. Tell me where the fear is. You're actually good at it. You do it a lot. How can you possibly fear something you're really good at? And then they start laughing, and they go, well, I guess I don't. Well, no, you don't. You don't fear it. So we've kind of mismetabolized fear. Many times people say they're afraid of something that they do really well, and they do it consistently. I don't know where the fear is there. What there is an opportunity there for a question. So here's a note, and I hope people are writing this down. Here's what you can do next time you feel any particular fear about anything. Ask yourself this question. What's the opportunity I'm most excited about right now? Mm-hmm. Because we've mismetabolized fear. We've taken that and made it this negative emotion when what it really is that the moment we feel fear, we also have a moment to have an opportunity to do something different right now. So going back to my tennis days, when I had match point against somebody and I got really nervous that I was about to win the match, and I double fault because I was shaking so much I couldn't even put the ball up in the air and move my racket. When I started asking this question, what am I excited about right now? What's the opportunity? And then it took my mind on a completely different track. And my mind started to go, oh, well, I'm really excited about the opportunity to beat this guy. I haven't beaten him the last 10 times I played him. Or I'm really excited about breaking one of my barriers because every time it's match point, I get nervous and I screw up. So I have an opportunity to be different right now. There's several answers to that question. But what happens is when you ask it, your mind goes off on a new track, where before you're trying to apply all these tips and these strategies, but you're still fearful. Since everything starts in mind anyway, why not put your mind in a place where it's taking you and creating a totally different physical and emotional experience? Because when you're afraid of anything, you're afraid because that moment there's an opportunity for you to be excited about something. What is it? If I'm jumping out of an airplane, which I've never done before, I'm going to have fear. I'm excited about it. So while I'm standing at the door, what am I excited about right now? Well, hell, I'm excited about jumping 15,000 feet out of an airplane and my parachute opening properly and landing on the ground. How cool is that going to be? I'm excited about that. Now my mind is off on a completely different trail, sending messages into the system, and by law, now creating this completely different set of emotions, physical experience, and reality for me. All of a sudden, I'm very excited. 5 minutes ago, I was all tense and tight and afraid. So this simple little question can take one from a moment of fear to a moment of excitement. And so whatever it is at that moment, all of a sudden you step up and go, okay, I'm going to do this now because I'm excited about this. And now, because I'm excited about this, take a simple example, guy meets girl in a bar, and he wants to ask her out maybe, but he hesitates. I used to do this all the time when I was younger. I hesitated, and I was afraid. What are we afraid of? Oh, she might reject me. I'm afraid of feeling like a small idiot. All these things that guys are afraid of, and we all have that. But then I check in and go, wait a minute. What's the opportunity? What am I most excited about, this opportunity I have right now? Oh, okay. What I'm excited about is I get to go up to this girl who is very attractive to me and ask her out. I don't know what she's going to say, but I don't care. I'm excited about the opportunity that I get to go do that. Mm-hmm. And if she says yes, I'm even happier. If she says no, I'm okay. I'll just turn and walk away. I might feel a little bad, but at least I broke through that moment and did something. That's all that counts, is that you break through that moment and you do something. The results and the outcomes of that are actually unimportant. Unimportant. So if you're going for a job and you have fear about the interview, same thing. What's the opportunity I'm most excited about right now? Well, the opportunity is I get to express myself in front of this person who's interviewing me. I get to show them how darn good I am. I get to be in position to maybe get hired for this position, but I'm not going to worry about that. I have so many other things I'm excited about sitting in this chair. And then your mind starts to move off there, and you step into the room completely different. And they know it. They feed off of that when you step in.
Well, I love this because a lot of my friends, as you know, are professional speakers. And even though when you see them up on the stage, you think, boy, they have a lot of confidence. But I happen to know that most of my friends are still petrified before they go on the stage, and they try all different techniques. But I love this because what's the opportunity I'm most excited about now? I'm going to share this with them because that could switch their fear, because the fear is because it's all about them. How am I going to look? What if I trip? What if I'm not good? What if I don't? But this is what's the opportunity I'm most excited about now. It takes their mind off of them and onto the opportunity. So this is brilliant.
Right.
I love this. And we're going to move on because I also have to know why you say coping leads to mediocrity. What do you mean by coping, first of all? I know what mediocrity is, but tell us, enlighten us on this point, because I know what I would think that the answer would be, but I'd like to know what the answer really is.
Okay. This leads me to the two flaws. Flaw number one is they will agree with you that your problems are your problems. So when you call so-and-so and they say, what are you calling for? And you say, well, I don't have the money I want flowing in my life, or my relationships aren't what I want them to be, or I'm not as confident as I like to be in general, and so on and so forth. They will agree with you that, oh, those are your problems, right? Yeah, those are my problems. Okay. I will not. If you called me and told me that stuff, I would say to you, do you realize none of those things you just said to me are your problems? And you would go, yes, they are. I'll go, no, they're not. You go, yes, they are. And I go around in circles with people. Yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. And I say, no, they're not. Because all they are symptoms. All you've told me are the symptoms that you have. There's only one problem, and it's you. You're the one that is the problem, because you have no idea that you're creating every one of the things you just said to me. And if you understood by law how you were doing that, you would understand that none of those things are your problem. Most people will agree with you, though, and they'll say, yeah, those are your problems. Let's get to work on them. And the way they get to work on them is flaw number two, is they offer you strategies, coping strategies, generally. These are the tips, the theories, the concepts, the ones that 85 to 90% of the people already admit don't last. Because I ask, do you apply a lot of strategies? Oh, yeah. How long do they last? And they start laughing because they know. Why are you laughing? Oh, because they don't last that long. Well, why do you keep doing them? I don't know what else to do. And they don't until they talk to me. So the reason I will never help somebody be a better coper is this, and this is provable. You go to your dictionary and you look up the word cope. What you will find are these synonyms: to deal with, to get by, to handle, to manage, to struggle with, and my all-time favorite, to survive. Deal with, handle, get by, manage, struggle with, and survive. Now, when people hear this and they say, is this what you aspire to do, any one of these things? Is this your goal, to deal with stuff, to handle things, to get by, to struggle through, to survive? Is that really what you want? No. Well, then that's what you do when you cope. That's what coping is. That's what it's designed to do. And think about it this way then. When you walk into a room and you look at somebody and you say, how you doing today? Do they ever turn around with flash a big smile and look at you saying, hey, I'm great, I'm coping, with a big smile? Nobody does that. What they usually do is they'll look at you and go, I'm okay, I'm just, I'm getting by. Same day, same stuff, different day, that kind of a thing. People mope when they're talking like that. So when you're coping, the message you're sending into the system by law, again, is here's the message you're actually sending. It is, I can't help this. It's not my fault. It's going to happen again. So when it does, I better arm myself with a whole bunch of coping mechanisms to deal with it when it happens. So you've basically resigned already. The message you sent in is one of resignment. Hey, this is going to happen again. I can't help it. Not my fault. It just happens. So I guess I better have a whole bunch of coping mechanisms to deal with it when it does. So a person who's doing that doesn't understand the law. They don't understand that they're responsible for creating all the stuff that they think they have to cope with in the first place. So those are the two biggest flaws. Your problems are not your problems. There's only one, and it's you. And coping strategies are not the answer. If those aren't your problems in the first place, coping mechanisms can't be the answer to those things. And for most people, they understand that when I say it. It's not. It just helps them get by a speed bump for the moment. It's temporary. But that's not very, you don't get a badge of merit or courage for that. Where is that? Wouldn't you? I'm kind of famous for asking this question. Would you rather have more tips and strategies and coping mechanisms to deal with all the garbage you just told me about? Or do you want to create something new starting tomorrow? And every time I ask that question, there's a moment of silence. Did he just ask me what I thought he asked me? Yes, I did. Very simple question. Do you want more coping mechanisms, or do you want to create something new? It's a very simple question. Well, okay, I guess I'd rather create something new. Well, when people answer it that way, I say, I'm your guy. If you told me you wanted more coping mechanisms, I'd send you back to your sports psychologist or to your life coach, or I'd send you back to the library or whoever your guru is. Go back there because they have a ton of strategies for you. You go back there. And in about 3 months, you're probably going to end up calling me anyway because the stuff you're doing is going to be nice for a moment, but you're still not getting what you want. Not really. So that's the difference. Do you want to create something new starting right away, or do you want to help deal with all the garbage that you're going through?
So you were going to guide us through, I think you called it the circle exercise, that's going to show us how and why we don't get what we really want in life. I'd love to. Can we do that now?
Yeah, and that actually matches up perfectly with what I just spoke about. With the
that's what I thought.
Perfect. Way to go, Deb. Nice.
I'm good.
So here's the deal, and you can do this too if you have paper with in front of you. So here's what I'm going to ask folks to do. On your paper, draw 2 circles. Draw a line across the center of the paper going from left to right, and on the top half, draw a circle, fairly big, so you can write a couple things in it. And on the bottom half, draw another circle. So now you have 2 circles on a page. Circle number 1 at the top is, label it your current conditions. Your current conditions. So in circle 1, you're going to write 1, 2, or 3 things that are currently obstacles for you. These can be things like fear, self-doubt, not enough money, poor relationships, the common things. Anything you think is an obstacle for in your life right now, it goes into circle 1. So now, circle 2 is the circle at the bottom of the page. That circle is designated as what I want. Circle number 1 is where I am now. Circle number 2 is what I want. In circle 2, you can write up to 3 things that you truly desire in your life. Better relationships, to be more honest, to be more clear, to be more confident, and be as specific as you can. Make more money is too vague. Make $200,000 a year, that's more specific. Be as specific as you can in circle 2. And as you're doing that, just notice that these 2 circles do not touch. There's no bridge. They are 2 separate entities. Now, here's the mistake that most human beings make, and I've certainly made it plenty. And I slip into making it even still sometimes, but I try not to hang there too long. Here's the mistake. Our logical mind says to us, wait a minute, if I have these issues in circle 1, then what I should probably do is try to fix them or get better at them. And that's actually not true. I'm going to show you why now. You're going to see graphically in front of you why it's not true. Because if you hang out in circle 1 and fix, let's say, fear, you put fear in there, and you go to try to fix it, you go to workshops, you get CDs or whatever you do, all you're doing is moving maybe a little closer to the edge of circle 1. But circle 2 is still underneath there, waiting for you to jump into it, and you're not. You're hanging out in circle 1. So it's the big lie. Because circle 1 contains only what you already know. Einstein had a great quote that addresses this perfectly. He said, you can't solve a problem using the same mind that caused the problem in the first place. Well, guess what circle 1 is? Circle 1 is your old mind. It only knows what it knows. It knows nothing else. It's incredibly limited. It's incredibly puny. Circle 2 is brand new. Every opportunity and every possibility exists in circle 2. All of the garbage that you have in circle 1 does not exist in circle 2 at all. It doesn't even know what that is. It doesn't even know what that is. So the big mistake, and you can see it graphically now, is that we hang out in circle one thinking we're doing the right thing by trying to fix what's in there. And you can see graphically that if you put your attention in circle one, guess where your attention is? It's on all the junk that exists in circle one. But yet circle two exists over there somewhere, waiting for you to jump into it. Guess what happens when you start using the laws? That's why I stop people from telling their story. All of that garbage that pro golfer was telling me came out of circle one, and I knew it. When I talk to people, I know that I'm talking to them from circle two, but they're listening to me from circle one. They are. So this is actually a great sales tool. I tell salespeople, when you go into a room and talk to somebody, you're in circle two, but they're listening to you from circle one. They're listening to all the junk you're telling them, and it's going through all their filters. They're trying to figure out if you're lying to them, if you're going to give them the best price, should they trust you. All of their filters, all the limitations are in circle one. They can't even hear what you're saying, and they're just going to say no. And you're going to sit there trying to argue with them back and forth to get their attention. All you have to do is take out a piece of paper and say, hey, John, let's get on the same playing field conversationally. Here's two circles. Circle one is this. You know, you're thinking about your emails, you're thinking about price, you're thinking about all these limitations are here in circle one. Circle two is this, where I'm coming to you from. Why don't we get on the same page and be in circle two? And if you don't want to buy this product, that's fine. At least I know that I was engaging you on the same level playing field. And if you still say no, great. I know you're saying no because we had this conversation from the same place. I wasn't trying to fight through all of your filters. And when salespeople do this, they call me up and go, wow, this was really great. I thought it would be hard, but I can explain it real quick with a piece of paper, and they know what I'm saying, and they kind of sit back and relax for a minute, and I can tell that we're both in circle two engaged in this conversation. They don't all buy, which is fine. But sometimes people are buying when in the past they just say no because they're in automatic land with circle one because that's what circle one does. It's automatic. So I used to do my own teleseminars for an hour and a half. And I talked about this every time. This was the one thing that almost everybody remembered. When I hung up, I used to get emails in the subject line that would say, help, prisoner in circle one, help, get me out of circle one and get me into circle two, help, stuck in circle one. And I would sit there and laugh because they would get it. I had people email and say, you know, I've heard this before, but not until you put it down graphically in front of me and explained it did I really understand, oh my God, I'm spending so much time in circle one and I had no idea that I was doing it. But here's the bottom line message. Circle one will never get you into circle two, ever. You can hang out there all you want, fixing things, trying to fix things. It will never get you into circle two, ever, ever, ever. Pretty astounding, isn't it?
It is absolutely astounding. And it's so I love how clear it is. And again, that's, I guess, why they call you Mr. Simple, because this is simple, but it's so profound. So I know that there are 7 laws, and I know that you're not going to go through each one of them, but can you give us just one of them that will show us the power we have to alter our experience?
Sure. Let me define what a law is so we're all on the same page. A law is something that is true for everyone, everywhere, and at all times. So you can see immediately there's no gray area here. There's no yeah, but. There's no yeah, but here, but not over there. No. Everyone, everywhere, at all times. That's what makes it a law. There are no factors that can take you away from it. Age, gender, personality type, experience, skill level, non-factors when it comes to the laws. Which is why I like talking about them so much, because it makes it an even playing field. The laws operate the same for me and you as they do for Tiger Woods and Michael Jordan. It has to be that way. But here's what I mean by a law. Some people now know. Here's 2 examples. These aren't 2 of the 7, but they're 2 examples. The law of planting. When you plant an apple seed in the ground, you can pray all you want. You can dig up Sigmund Freud and have a conversation with him all you want. You can do whatever you want, all in the hopes that a watermelon is going to show up, and it's not going to happen. Why? It's a natural law. You can't grow a watermelon if you plant an apple seed. It's not my opinion. I have nothing to do with it. It's a law. Try all you want. It's not going to happen. Example number 2 is the law we're under the influence of our entire lives. Everybody knows it, gravity. So, Deb, let's say you and I are up 15,000 feet in a plane, and we're going to parachute. The door opens. It's your turn. Mm-hmm. You walk over to the door, and before you step out, you turn to me and you go, Breslow, I don't believe in gravity, never have, never will. And you're really adamant about it. I'm just going to look at you and say, okay. So when Deb steps out, what's going to happen?
I'm going down.
You're going down. So what I say to people all the time is your belief in the laws is not required, and your opinion of them is completely irrelevant. Now, you can imagine the reaction I get when I say that to people. I don't know anybody else who can say that to somebody. Your belief is a non-factor. Dave, are you telling me that my belief is a non-issue in this? Yes, I am. And this is the way I can prove it. Do you think your belief matters, whether you believe in gravity or not, that it causes gravity to function a certain way? No. Do you think your opinion about gravity matters to gravity? No. That's why there is no learning curve in this. How long do you have to think about gravity to see if it applies to you? The answer is snap of a finger. You get it immediately. And the laws are the same way. You get them immediately. There's nothing to process. There's nothing to figure out, just like planting and gravity. So here is the pre-law. I call this the pre-law because it is the foundation of all the other laws. And the law is simple. The law is the more honest you are with yourself, the quicker you get what you want. Now, the more honest you are with yourself, the quicker you get what you want. Why is that a law? Because it's true for everyone, everywhere, at all times, and there is no factor that makes it untrue. Here's why it's true. Here's what it really means. What you're willing to see, you can change. What you're not willing to see, you don't have a shot. That's not my opinion. It's a law. So let's say, for example, I'm very arrogant. I always use this as an example. And you're out socially with me, and you say, Dave, you know, sometimes you're really arrogant socially with other people around, and it's kind of embarrassing. And my reaction is, what are you talking about? I'm not arrogant. I'm not arrogant at all. In fact, you're arrogant for even saying it to me. Now, let's assume that I really am arrogant in this scenario. Do you think I have any chance of improving that aspect of me or changing it if that's my reaction to deny and resist it?
No.
None. Zero. By law, I have no chance of changing it. It's a law. It is a law. What I'm willing to see, I can change. What I'm unwilling to see, I'm stuck with it. So when clients throw stuff at me, and then they're not really interested in shifting it at all, and they resist, oh, no, Dave, that's not the problem. It's this. Oh, really? You just told me it was that. Now you're changing your mind? Oh, no, I didn't mean that. Yeah, you did. Okay. If you're not willing to see it, you now lost your card to bring it back next week. You can't come back next week and tell me the same problem over and over again. Because you know what I'm going to say to you? You didn't want to admit it the first time. So all you're doing is looking for some new tips and new strategies and some new theories to handle this problem that you haven't been willing to admit yet. And I'm telling you, as long as you're not willing to admit it, it ain't going anywhere. You'll bring it up every time we speak. And what do you want me to do? You want me to keep telling you new things about it? No, it's really simple. The moment you're willing to admit it is the moment you and I can do something with it. And so I'm asking clients questions all the time like that at first. Are you willing to admit that what you're doing is not working? Yeah? Good. Because if you said no, then you just made your journey that much more difficult. I don't know what I can do with you if you're not willing to admit that what you're doing is not working. Because nobody ever calls me because they want things to stay the same. Nobody. They want things to be different. But sometimes they actually don't know that. Believe it or not. Yeah, it's interesting because people sometimes don't even want to admit that they want to change. But like I said, nobody calls me because they want things to be the same. They want things to change, but they don't really want to sometimes do that much to change them, or they don't want it to change that much. But this very simple law, the more honest you are, the quicker you get what you want, will spark you to start change happening. Because nothing changes until you can admit that. And it's one of the questions I ask people at first all the time. Are you willing to admit that what you're doing is not working? And they'll say, well, yeah. But if they say no, then I already know that they made their journey that much more difficult. Because if you're not going to admit that what you're currently doing is not getting you what you want, then you just made it much more difficult for yourself. So if you're not willing to admit something, that problem is going to come back time and time again. And you can't keep bringing it up. Because what I will say to you is, well, you weren't willing to admit this 3 weeks ago. Why are you bringing it up again? What do you want me to say to you? You want me to offer you more tips and strategies, more theories and concepts? That's not going to give you what you want. You haven't been willing to admit this with this very basic law yet. The day that you are, you can start moving away from it. I can give you a zillion tips and you won't move away from it. I already know that. And so do you, because you've tried it for the last 10 years. Now you're asking me for the same thing again? No. But see, that's how asleep people are. You remember when I mentioned the law of awake and asleep? That's actually the first law, the first real law.
Yes,
They're so asleep that we say things without realizing we're unconscious. And I will repeat things back to them. I say, was that the awake you speaking or the asleep you speaking? And they go, what? You just asked me a question that I know you already know the answer to. Was that the awake you or the asleep you? Oh, that must have been the asleep me. I said, yeah. You're about to find out in the next 3 days just how asleep you are in your entire life. And you are going to come back so excited because you're also going to be awake. You're going to move from asleep to awake in the next 3 days. And when you're awake, you're going to start making new choices in situations where you never have before. So I get calls from parents a lot. I work with junior athletes, 15-year-olds and such. Yeah. I'll get a call from a parent and go, what did you do to my kid? And I'll go, what do you mean? Well, I pull in the driveway and he comes out and he's helping me take grocery bags in and he's cleaning his room when I ask him. I said, did you tell him to do that? I said, no. You've already done that, haven't you? And she goes, yeah, doesn't work, does it? No. Mm-hmm. So here's the difference. Here's the difference between Wired to Win and other programs. Because I'm not giving you a strategy to apply. You see, when people get strategies to apply, they either do them or they don't. Or they do them for a little while and then they just wear away. I'm not giving you a strategy. I'm not even putting you in that position. But the kid, because he's practicing the law of awake and asleep, and he's checking in, and the check-in question is simple. Am I awake or asleep right now? The second you ask that question, you're awake, aren't you? You have to be. The second you ask it, you're awake. And when you're awake, you have a window of a moment in your mind to go, okay, what choice can I make here now that I'm awake that I don't usually make? So the kid is now making these choices to clean his room on his own. He's now making the choice to go help mom bring bags in on his own. If I would have told him to do that, it would have lasted a day and a half. But now he's doing it on his own, and that's the difference between Wired to Win and so many others, is that you own it. He owns this now, and it's not a tip that he took from the outside, and it's like cut and paste. He goes, yeah, I'm doing this because Breslow, he told me to go do this week. No, he's doing it from the inside out because he's so much more awake now and conscious. He's making the choice on his own. Can you imagine, if you're on the line right now, what this means in your life? You've been running around, better relationships, more money, confidence, all this stuff. Can you imagine what this would be like if you're making these choices from the inside out now? Confidence is an automatic byproduct of this program. I don't ever have to say it once in the 9 audios. In fact, I don't have to. I give talks all the time to golfers, let's say, and I'll say, hey, what's the one thing that most of you need the most? And they'll raise their hand, and I'll go, what? And they'll go, confidence. And I'll say, do you realize if we work together, because in my live coaching, I only talk 10 times to people. 10 times, that's it. Do you realize in our 10 conversations, I will not once mention the word confidence? And they look at me. I get to say big things like that. They look at me and go, are you kidding me? Why am I hiring you then? I just told you one of my big problems is confidence, and you're telling me you're never going to mention it? No, I don't have to. Because a byproduct of you understanding the laws and applying them consciously is confidence. Don't you think this kid because he's awake and making his own choices is automatically feeling more confident. Now, he's a golfer, and I'm not even talking about golf with him at this point. I'm just saying in the next 3 days, check in and watch what happens to you. So he's checking in, and he's making these new choices with his dad, with his mom, with his friends, in school, and on the golf course when he goes and practices. And he's automatically, just generally, a more confident kid. You don't think that's going to take over for his golf? It has to.
Yeah.
And yet the sports psychologist is spending hours talking about confidence with people. I get calls from them too, saying, hey, I'm working with Jackie, and I noticed that she's really flying right now. And I've been working on confidence with her. And I go, well, she mentioned your name, because I said, what are you doing? You doing something else? Yeah, I'm working with this guy, Breslow. How long have you been working with him? I don't know, just a couple of weeks so far. And you're feeling this good? Yeah. And so they get my number, and they call me, and they go, what are you doing? I'd like to hear it. I go, well, I'm not doing what you're doing. Oh, yeah, you are. I go, no, I'm not. And they go, well, my job is to help people perform better. I said, that's what I do too. Well, so we are doing the same thing. I go, no, we're not. I guarantee you the way we get there is so completely different that it's not even in the same zip code. and then they say to me, and I say to them, how long does it take to build confidence in your world? And they go, oh, usually a few months. I go, how long it takes in my world? How long? About a week, 10 days. And they go, are you kidding me? I go, no. And I never mentioned the word. And that's when they hang up.
So what I want to know, because everybody who is on the line right now is very excited about taking control of their life. And I know that the package that you're going to offer us is very, very powerful. So why don't you just go ahead and tell us what it is that you've put together for us? So, and I encourage everyone to go to David's special offer page right now and experience it for yourself. To access this package for yourself, just click on the special offer button on this web page. Why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about what we will find there?
Okay, what it is, it's called Wired to Win, 7 Laws, 21 Days, Transform the Way You Live, Work, and Play. Okay, it is 7 Laws, 21 Days, Transform the Way You Live, Work, and Play. 9 audios, full length, anywhere from 36, 38 minutes to an hour and 5 or 10 minutes, so you're not getting shorted at all. You're getting everything I say to a private coaching client on the phone. It's actually very conversational. I'm actually talking to you just like I am now. So 9 full audios, 9 study guides, 1 to match each audio, 5 bonuses, and, of course, the 30-day guarantee.
And I, knowing you for all of these years and knowing how much people have benefited and that you've sold your program for a lot more than $97. So thank you so much for offering it for $97 to my audience. And could you go through the different components of the program? And I know there are a lot of components and some bonuses, so why don't you tell us specifically what is part of the program?
Okay, the components are 9 full-length audios, anywhere from 38 minutes to over an hour, and 9 study guides. So each audio comes with its own study guide, which you can download and print. You can also copy and burn the audios and put them on a disc, take them with you in the car if you like. It also comes with 5 bonuses. These are things you will get right away, and a 30-day guarantee, of course.
Great.
So it's the entire program. It's the same things I would say to you in a live coaching session. It's as if I'm talking to you right now. I recorded it in a very conversational way, and the laws, like I said, they're very simple. You get them right away. You'll apply them for 3 days, and 7 laws. There are 9 audios. The last 2 are how to create rituals is one of them. So you start using the laws in a very conscious, ritualistic way every day. And then the final audio is all about 12 more cool tools to use to reinforce everything you've learned up to that point.
Okay. All right. Well, it looks like fantastic. I'm just kind of absorbed in the offer and reading these testimonials. but it's fantastic. And yeah, well, I love the bonuses as your way of saying thank you as a man thinketh, and the power of concentration and a hero's journey. These are, I think that the bonuses themselves are pretty great. What's 50 Ways to Take Action Now? It's an ebook?
That's an ebook where I list 50 things. It's one of those things you can look at real quickly, and almost anywhere you point your finger, it's something that can be relevant for the moment. It's a very short, very easy thing to look at with the way to take action with a brief description underneath. It's just a cool little thing to take with you wherever you go.
Okay, very cool. All right, and what is As a Man Thinketh? Oh, I see. James Allen Classic before its
James
time.
Allen's Classic. Yeah. He was talking about a lot of these things back in the 30s or 40s, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
And his insights really match up perfectly with the 7 laws and everything I've been talking about.
And then another ebook that is 99 pages of The Power of Concentration.
Yeah, very interesting book written quite a while ago, talking only about the power of focus and concentration. It's just really an interesting thing to read along with the insights of the program when one has time to do that.
Very good.
And then I have a video training on fear, which talks a little bit about what I talked about earlier, expands on that a little bit. The Hero's Journey is a really cool audio. It's a really amazing story with several life lessons that have come out of it for the person who's telling the story.
Very good.
Something we all want to be connected to and aspire to.
Okay, so now, before we go, I have 2 questions. One is, can you share with me some, I know that you've shared a few specific experiences that people have had or turnarounds that they've enjoyed from applying what you teach, but can you share maybe 1 or 2 more, and so that we can know a little bit more about what to expect from applying what you teach?
Yeah, here's what you can expect. Immediately, you can expect a raise in awareness, but not because I said so. You'll actually experience awareness from the inside. And as a result of that, you can expect to start making new, clear choices where you didn't in the past, in areas that you never thought you would, or thought that you had to know a whole bunch more stuff about to make new choices. So those are the 2 things that happen right away to people: a rise in a level of awareness and an increase in choice making. And the third thing is a level of confidence that comes from the inside out as well. And I call it unshakable confidence because you own it. It doesn't come from the outside. It doesn't depend on results or outcomes at all. It's a sense of well-being that you have about yourself and who you are as you move through the world. So people are experiencing these things all the time as a direct byproduct of an understanding of these insights, these truths, and these laws by which their life is being produced right in front of them, for the good and the bad, by the way.
All right. Well, then the last thing I'm going to ask you before we say goodbye, any final thoughts you can give us to help us transform our experience right now? Yes.
I hope you have your pens and paper handy. Let me throw out at you something I give all my private clients, and it's in the program as well, so you'll be reminded of it. This is an attitude shift. This is your reason for doing anything. So I'm asking you to write this down on a 3x5 card, stick it in your wallet, stick it in your pants pocket, stick it in your purse, wherever you want. And it is this: every moment is an opportunity to express all your talents fully and freely. Every moment is an opportunity to express all your talents fully and freely while overcoming your barriers with ease and awareness. Now, I have given this to many people and say, what do you think would happen if you went into the next thing you do tomorrow with this as your only reason for being there? I've done this with athletes, with corporate folks, with private sector. So let's say you're going to have a meeting tomorrow and you have a little anxiety over it or whatever. If this is your real reason for being there, most of the stuff you go through will disappear. If your only reason for being there is to express all of your talents fully and freely while overcoming whatever barriers you have with ease and awareness. And the way you do that is with the check-in questions from the laws. That's how quick it can happen, with ease and awareness. Am I awake or asleep right now? That's how quick it can happen. Oh, I'm dead asleep. You know what? I'm being nervous like I always am when I'm in this situation, but this is what I always do. I'm dead asleep. But the moment you're having that conversation in your head, you're awake. Okay, well, what can I do now? I have a window where I can make a different choice. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to sit up and I'm going to stare at this person's eyeballs and let them know I'm here in the room. That's what I'm going to choose to do right now. And you make that choice because you're awake. And you do that because the reason for you being there is to express all your talents fully and freely, while overcoming whatever barriers may come up. But you're going to do it with ease and awareness. This really works.
I'm going to try it. Actually, I got pages of notes of things that I'm going to try, and I'm also going to get your package, so I'm going to have a lot to do. But again, I love it because it is simple. Although I still can't believe that people call you Mr. Simple, but now I see that the program that you're offering is simple and all of the things that you shared with us. And I just want to say thank you so much. If you haven't done it yet, just click on the special offer button on this page to see for yourself what an amazing package this is. You will be so glad you did. I really encourage you to go there to see what the package that David is offering us. And obviously, from what you've heard today, you can see that it can majorly impact your life and wire you to win. So I guess that's it. Anything else you want to say?
No, other than thank you for having me here. I always love talking to you. You know that.
Yes, and I love talking to you. And it's this is incredible because I know how successful you've been. I know how many people's lives have been majorly impacted by Wire to Win. And this is actually the first time that I've had the opportunity to really find out what it's all about. And now it makes complete sense. Yeah.
I've always wanted to do this with you, too. So I'm glad we got a chance to do this.
Yes, me too. And I'm very, very excited. So thank you, David. Will you come back again?
Of course I will. I love doing this.
Yay. Okay, very, very good. And thank you to everyone for spending this time with me and with David Breslow. And I look forward to when we are all together again and to you living your life without limits. This is Debra Poneman. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye for now.